Hooray! Time for another Thomas video discussion thing. Jeez, this is like the most talked about thing on my channel and probably the most popular discussion topic. But I like making Thomas discussion videos, and this is probably going to be the last one, so let's make it a good one. Roll the intro. So, picture this. It's the end of 2022, and Mattel's track record with the new All Engines Go show and all the specials and seasons have proved to only decrease the amount of money they have, and they soon file for bankruptcy. Yay. Not long after, rival company Hasbro comes over and buys the rights for Thomas the Tank Engine, and Thomas receives a new home once again. Hasbro announces this pretty quickly, and while some fans are quite happy to hear this, others are not, and are rather skeptical, and don't like the sound of Hasbro owning our favourite little blue tank engine. Which they do know that some people are skeptical about this decision, because once Thomas was sold to Hit Entertainment, the show ended up being pretty crappy from there. Hasbro knows this, and they see potential in Thomas the Tank Engine and can see the show was clearly broken. Anyone with a brainstem could see that. So what's the first thing Hasbro does? Simple. They arrange a brand new cast, a brand new look to the show, and begin the franchise same as they did with the new generation of MLP, with a special movie to kick it all off. I have split this video into certain segments going on the cast of the new show, what the show would look like, and what the movie kicking off the new series would be about, as well as the episodes coming after, as Blobber and all that crap is still kinda canon. But Hasbro's smart, not like Mattel, so we actually have a way to fix this. And of course, with everything being canon, Henry is still out of Tidmouth Sheds, and Edward is still with that. Nia and Rebecca are both incredibly underdeveloped characters, yada 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 yada, so we'll get to all that near the end. So with all that said, let's begin segment number 1, shall we? I am wasting absolutely no time here and getting right into my favourite subject of this video, the primary casting. Which means yes, we are replacing all of the actors, even the All Engines Go ones, that existed before, with completely new ones. All of course with British voices, except for Emily, because Scottish. But we are only going to be naming the actors for Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, Toby, and Emily. And the narrator of the show, of course, because we're not having stupid Thomas narrate the show again. As for the rest of the characters of the entire Thomas cast, I don't really have time for that. It was hard enough picking these perfect voices myself in my spare time, so if you guys have any ideas on British actors and actresses that could take these roles, then feel free to post them in the comments below. I'm excited to see what voices you'd have for Oliver or Duck. I always imagined Stephen Merchant would make a very good Duck.
Good morning, squirmed Diesel in his oily voice.
Hello! This is the part where I kill you!
Oh, what can ail thee, knight-at-arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight-at-arms, so haggard and so woe-begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest's done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose fast withereth too.
I hope one day Tom Holland would have his own TV show, because that would be amazing. Well, you might not have to wait that long. Spies in Disguise is a really, really cool movie. When they pitched me the idea, it was a no-brainer. It was something I really wanted to be a part of. Will Smith and I kind of team up, and we are at the front of this film throughout, and it is really funny. And I'm seeing it, what's the date today? I'm seeing it in 2 days, which is exciting.
I read the script over and over and over again and hope that it sticks, but it never does, because when you shoot the scene in location, the lines mean different things and you have to change them.
And just to make it more interesting, you're going to face, in both worlds, a deadly danger, but only one of the dangers is real. Tweet, tweet, time to sleep.
I think your idea is excellent. I just love the idea of blind and partially sighted children and young people being able to enjoy the spectacle of the show as sighted people do. We would love your help to raise £10,000 so that we can continue to support freelancers and emerging talent through this pandemic and beyond.
Don't get me wrong, I adore Yorkshire pudding. I mean, I yield to no one in my love of the Yorkshire pudding. But that around the year, it doesn't shriek Christmas to me.
What?
All I'm saying. The show is essentially a debate because Christmas is very important. I've been thinking about this, you see. Christmas, at one stage in our prehistory, I suspect we all hibernated, like, you know, like other mammals. Surround ourselves with things that made us feel warm and comfy and cosy and good.
I'm not built to go that fast. I'm quite happy as I am, thank you. It was horrible. The fat controller made me work with another coach, and she wanted me to go fast, and she called me a slow coach, and we went through red signal.
Is something wrong, Henry? What do you mean, worm? I mean, you're even more grumpy than usual, even taking into account that it's broccoli burgers for tea.
Yeah, well, you'd be grumpy too if you had a maths test.
No, I wouldn't. All right, then. Did you know that in space, no one can hear you scream?
No? Is that true?
Yes. Gordon says it is, and he's too goody-goody to tell a lie.
Yes, this is the solemn news that one of our greatest peacetime prime ministers has died. But don't worry, Gordon's alive! Yeah! Not just a terrible writer, but also a terrible writer.
In cold weather, the birds will be very happy with those treats, especially the small birds who need to eat a lot when it's cold. When winter comes, do you think you'd like to take part in this sort of messy fun? And always remember, all children think about and do things differently. So if you'd like to change any of our activities to something else with the resources that you have in your home, then that's great. It's also fine if everyone ends up creating something completely different. Everyone does things at different speeds and in different ways.
Oh, I so wish I could have seen your faces throughout that cast reveal. My choices may be a little odd, but in my opinion these voices fit the characters really well. As I said earlier, Bwabba is still canon with all this in mind, meaning Nia and Rebecca are still in Tidmouth, and are still a part of the main cast. So who's voicing them? Simple. The same voice actresses that voiced them before. I think their voices already fit them perfectly, so we're just going to keep them the way they are. Now then, with all the casting section stuff out of the way, we can now talk about the new look of the show. So let's get to that. I'm gonna be straight with you guys here. This is the part of the video I had the most trouble with, because I know that kids media today is not going to accept the model era, so we can't use that. We don't want to go overboard and make Thomas live action with real life locomotives. So I think the best course of action is to just keep this show in its natural CGI form, minus the bouncing. Just as I mentioned in my Why Thomas Would Benefit If Hasbro Owned the Show video. Although it might be a good idea to get in touch with another animation company, whether it be small or a big one, since Hasbro doesn't seem to have enough money to make an entire 3D show. At least not yet. We'll see how MLP G5 performs. But it would need to have a lot of money put into it, since Thomas has always been a show driven by gorgeous visuals. Just look at Season 20 and Season 21. In my opinion, those two are the best seasons CGI Thomas put out. The music has to be good as well. Chris Renshaw did an absolutely incredible job at making Thomas's music feel so alive. Even the frickin' Sharon Miller era nailed this basic concept in its movies. I'm not entirely sure who Hasbro would get to do the music, but as long as it has that kind of pep in its step going forward as it has before, I'm as happy as a clam. When it comes to just general animation for Thomas being done by Hasbro, I don't think I would actually worry about it, because if people like Mainland, a fan of the show might I add, can make stuff like this, all on their own, and Hasbro has a wide collection of hilarious facial expressions as we've seen in the new MLP Generation 5 movie, there is nothing we need to worry about because we know now how great they are with CGI. Massive step up from the Pinkie Pie shorts they put out just over a year ago.
Hello, Pinkie!
Ugh, no. Though I'm pretty sure it'll take Hasbro a while to get used to this new world of Thomas and its new look, just as it did with Mattel, back when ARC first stepped in, and that's fine. None of us are expecting Avengers level quality right out the door, as I've mentioned already somewhere else. These things take time, and that's okay. Just like my own content, looking at some of Thomas's latest CGI things makes the old stuff unwatchable. No joke, I saw the old version of Catching the Night Guard recently, and I couldn't get through 30 seconds of it without turning it off. It's evolution, people! And it feels so good! People will complain about the new look, of course, but Hasbro knows that there are people who don't agree with the changes they made after Season 3 of G4. Don't believe me?
Twilight was better before she got wings.
Point made. I don't care if the bronies set me on fire for this, but Twilight getting wings really isn't that big of a deal. Other than that, there really wasn't much I wanted to say about this segment, so I suppose we could just move on to the final segment, and probably the longest one. Took a while to come up with what should happen in the next part of the video, but I think it'll please the majority of Thomas fans watching. So let's get into the final step of restoring Thomas. Well, here we are, the new Thomas & Friends film, Hasbro's first official Thomas the Tank Engine project. This is what I believe should be the way they should kick off a new generation of Thomas. Again, I'm sure some won't like the plot I've come up with for this Thomas movie I think Hasbro could string together, but I think I've come up with a concept that pleases the kids watching the show, the fans watching the show, and the big suits behind the scenes that are just in the game for money. I know that throughout all of CGI Thomas, there has only ever been one man on this planet that can do this perfectly, that balanced the show as the writer of CGI Thomas's best era for so many years, and I've done my best to follow in that man's footsteps. So Brenner, this one's for you. So with all that being said, let's begin with the plot that I believe would be perfect for Hasbro's first ever Thomas production, and the beginning of the franchise's return to form. All is peaceful on the island of Sodor as the narrator opens up telling us all about the engines that work there, how the island is coated in railway lines, and as the credits open and close, we soon begin to cut to Thomas on his own branch line. With Big World Big Adventures completely over, he's just bragging to Annie and Clarabelle about his adventures. He soon stops at his station and sees the first returnee character of this new Thomas generation, George, passing by, telling him he's off to tarmac Stepney's line and replace it with roads, as commanded by the Fat Controller. Thomas brushes it off as, oh, he's obviously just moving to a different line then, it's no big deal. But this isn't the case, it gets much worse than this. As Thomas continues down the line, Annie and Clarabelle are seen with concerned looks on their faces as the next scene fades in. It wasn't only Stepney's line that was shut down, it was a lot of little branch lines that are hardly being used or seen anymore. The Fat Controller has had to deem them useless and have them replaced by roads. Not only this, but more modern day transport is beginning to face the Northwestern Railway, and is beginning to dominate it. The reason for the Fat Controller shutting down smaller lines is because he's finding it hard to keep the railway running as several lesser known and used engines like Whiff, Norman are sold off to other railways. Thomas and the crew soon decide to embark on an action-packed mission of sorts to try and save the railway from being shut down and losing their friends from being sold off to keep the railway open. I realise it's not a perfect plot, but just bear with me. These are some pretty high stakes though. Not only would the movie take itself seriously, but it would carry an edge of gloom around it, foreshadowing what could happen if Thomas and his friends didn't succeed in saving their railway. What we also have to do for this film is give Nia and Rebecca a reason to exist. Nia, who is from another country, like the show doesn't say it enough, could use her knowledge of Kenya to maybe solve a mystery or a problem that the other engines can't, or sacrifice herself at some point to save the main crew even if it means it could kill her. Because if a nothing character did something like that or went through a trial to prove her worth, in a life or death situation, for the advantage of the whole main cast to be able to succeed in their mission, she'd have my eternal respect. Rebecca could probably use her high speeds to help the characters escape from an antagonist trying to catch them, or use those quirks that the Unlucky Tug mentioned, like the wheel slip problem, as a reoccurring plot point, until she gains the confidence to push past it when her strength is really needed in a dire situation in the final climax. I know I'm not exactly fixing their characters, but Unlucky Tug already took care of that for me, so that's fine. I would honestly just be repeating what he said if I tried to fix these two in my own video. This concept of a film could go anywhere, and that's why I love it so much. By having the idea of the railway possibly being shut down and the engines being out of a job and possibly scrapped forever is very interesting. At least it could be if it's done right. The possibility of seeing these engines we'd known and loved for so many decades possibly being sold off and never seen again is really dramatic and pretty heart-wrenching if it happens. And the level of gloom and tension in the situation getting worse and worse through the film really gives the series that dark, Audrey story that has been needed for so long now. And even if none of this happens, could someone please make a fan film about this with trains or something? This is a concept for a film I'd really like to see. What do you guys think about this movie idea though? I think it could be really fun and dramatic if it was handled correctly, but hey, if anyone picks up the idea, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, as for the starting grounds for the series, it's pretty much just where this movie ends. We could introduce new characters in that movie, maybe even a brand new railway where the engines venture in the film and meet different engines, even faceless ones perhaps. Bring back old characters who have not been seen for ages, like Duke or Molly. Oh, splodge. Oh, lady. Anyone could spitball ideas like this. I mean, there have been videos about fan characters packed with people from the show and the movies, and it seems to work very well. So it can't be that hard, can it? And after what I posted recently in my community posts, it's now clear as day more than ever that Thomas is not in the right hands. People like this don't deserve the beloved IP of Thomas the Tank Engine. The fact that they are actually going out of their way to shut down hard-working creators, it's self-entitled, condescending, and infuriating. You could argue sure the Hasbro did the same thing with Button Mash, but at least they left Jan alone and actually let him keep his channel. But who knows, maybe Hasbro will never get the name for Thomas, maybe Mattel will carry on butchering the name even after that Mark Forster film comes out, whenever that is. And maybe the show will never be good again, but even if it's not, we fans will continue to keep the spirit of Thomas alive in our own way, and they can kick and scream and shoot us off of the website as much as they like, but we'll always bounce back, because unlike you, Mattel, we actually care. I know it sounds like I'm getting really bent out of shape about this, but I've been following this for 18 years, and I can't see it go down the drain again. Not like this. This video has been absolute hell to put together, but much like Tug said about his Why Blubber Sucks video, if my words have been able to reach out to anyone, whether it's at Mattel or Hasbro, that can make a difference with this show, it will have been worth it. I don't want perfection out of this show, and I don't want mediocrity either. I just want my favourite childhood IP to be respected as much as the man who created him did, and as much as the legacy he left behind is doing now. Hasbro, Mattel, please, someone, help us fix this. Well, there you go, folks. We've done it. This video is finally over. Oh my god, it took so long to make, but you know what? I'm happy. It's out. It's done. Just before I went on my big break as well, thank god I can rest easy now without having to stay up every night remembering, oh, I still got that Thomas video to do. Well, it's done now. I'm gonna go and string the last bits and pieces of this together. Thank you all very much for watching. I'm the Amazing Gamer 111, and Hasbro, please, when Mattel goes bankrupt, you gotta grab that Thomas IP. It's now or never. Good luck to you, Hasbro. Bad luck to you, Mattel. See you all next time. Goodbye.